Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this to HR Week. I am just going to quickly adjust. There we are. Get rid of that chocolate on the side of my arm, and we can move forward. Because here's the thing: in the studio, all things happen, and digital things are happening, and sometimes with the light, there's a little bit of kind of chocolate that's on my arm. And I just have to get rid of that now and again. Okay, we are ready and we are set to move on to our next session now. Before I do that, again, remember all our friends, all our partners, sponsors who come together, literally everybody comes together and supports it in their own way, supports the event and supports our community. So many more to mention. Again, remember, we thank a sincere thank you to Kerner Nagel, Transcom, Hyperoptic, Schneider Electric, Prisma. I think on the screen you'll be able to see some of the sponsors right now. Endeavour, Netconomy, Nelt, A1, and Mona Hotel Management as well. Mona Hotel Management, in fact, the Mona Plaza Hotel, this is exactly where we are right now, in the studio, in their hotel. And those of you that know Belgrade well, you'll know that this is actually the spot, the very spot of the Shonda Chocolate Factory. So this was actually a chocolate factory before, and I tell you what, the chocolate cakes here at the Mona Plaza Hotel are beautiful. Right, we move. There we are. Some advertising for the chocolate cakes in the hotel. Right, we move on. What can we learn from German employers? I'm sure those of you that are working for a German employer or connected with German employers would certainly know the answer to that. But those of you that aren't and maybe would like to know a little bit more curious, this healthy panel discussion will hopefully get closer to those answers. And the man who's going to shape this discussion, this conversation in the right way. It's a senior project manager at Friedrich Naumann Foundation to Freedom, Mr. Tony Richard Crisoli. Tony, are you there?
Yes. Good day. Hello.
Good day to you. That's right. Well, it's still morning, but good day. Where are you right now? Let us know.
Well, for Germans, it is not morning, it's midday. It's already late because they're so productive.
And
Well,
where are you right now?
I'm currently in Belgrade. This is where I live and work for one of the German employers.
Fantastic. So a perfect person to give insights. Listen, I'll leave it up to you now. I'll walk away from the screen, and I'll be back a little bit later on towards the end with some maybe questions or some of the listeners, if they want to challenge what you have to say, I'll be back to ask those questions. So over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pierre. I absolutely love what you are doing here as a moderator. It is very entertaining and very insightful, and we hope to continue this tradition also with this panel here. As of now, I cannot see my panelists, and before I get them on my screen, I can explain you very quickly what we are going to do here. We all working for German companies, and as you already said, Germans are very specific when it comes to attracting talent, and attracting talent is actually something that is essential. We have listened to this all day long here on the HR Week, how important this is to get the right talent into our organizations to be really, really successful. And we have with us three gentlemen now here coming from the German C-level side, which will help us to maybe demystify this, what Peter has already hinted here, the German experience and what we can learn from German companies here in the region, especially Belgrade, where I'm living in. So, what can we learn from German employers here? We have three gentlemen here to discuss this with me. First of all is Mr. Frank Aletter. He is the managing director of the German Serbian Chamber of Commerce. The German Serbian Chamber of Commerce, of course, is one of the most important bilateral economic organizations here in Serbia, but also in the region. It is, of course, everywhere in the world. Mr. Aletta has more than a decade and a half, as I can see from his CV, representing the German economic interest and bilateral cooperation in the world. So thank you very much, sir, to be here on this panel. The second gentleman here is Mr. Rainer Becker. He is the CEO of the MTU Maintenance Serbia DOO. And the MTU Aero Engineering Company is very impressive worldwide, really one of the key players here to keep up mobility efforts in the world. They are currently, as much as I'm informed, having a new facility being built in Nova Pazova that's very close to Belgrade, and it is planning to employ hundreds of engineers and specialists. So this is we are really eager to hear what your plans are and how you are planning to actually to attract the biggest and most capable talents from within the region to your magnificent company and efforts you're doing here. And the third gentleman I'm going to introduce is Mr. Milan Grujic. He's the managing director of ZF Serbia. ZF is a company which had been founded in Friedrichshafen, as much as I know. This is the city I've been born in, and now I'm able to talk to you with the company which is now in Belgrade, where I live. ZF, of course, is one company that, as much I've heard from you, sir, is producing a lot of car parts, especially for the electric vehicle sphere, which is incredibly important today in a European and global sense in terms of smart mobility and sustainable mobility. Also, you're producing and designing parts, and you're doing lifetime testing. So incredible. Also, you have something like 1,100 employees. I don't know if you have them now or you're planning to acquire them, but certainly an incredible number of talents you are focusing here in your company. Thank you so much, gentlemen, to be here. I apologize to our listeners and viewers for not having a lady currently in this panel, but this is the gentlemen have been given to us, and we are actually happy that you are here. So let's start right in. Let's discuss what the topic is here, and this is, of course, we have talked about how important it is to attract the right talents. But this is not an easy task, as we have heard from also the previous speakers here. So I would like to ask you, gentlemen, what would be a precondition? What is important in attracting talent today? Are there any challenges in getting the right talent in our organizations, and what are they? Mr. Aletta, might I ask you to just maybe open this one up as a representative of many economic interests here? What are the biggest challenges here to get the right people in our organizations?
Well, first of all, I think when we look into the Serbian market, there is certainly a good basis of available talents. I think it is quite important, of course, to identify them. And when we look into the skilled people, what is also needed, because the world is getting more complex, the competition is getting higher, is, of course, to get the right people with the relevant skill set. So that is something that makes it a bit more tricky to find them. And then, of course, there is a competition not only on the Serbian market, but also a high competition towards Germany with the so-called Fachkräftesicherungsgesetz, where you compete with that. And therefore, of course, you need to look into a couple of factors to attract them, and at the end also to keep them.
So can you let us know what those factors are? What are the points which are important to know here?
Well, I think what, of course, is becoming quite important for if you look into the potential staff or the right talents is that, of course, certain things have been coming up on a more higher value level. And that is, for example, not only just salary, but if I have the space and freedom to develop myself. That's the one point, of course, what a company directly can do or an organization can directly do. And on the other hand, also in like factors in the surroundings. Again, if we look here in Serbia, you have more or less 3 bigger cities with the right living conditions when it comes to some cultural offers, some landscape offers, and that is something that is becoming more important, of course, for younger people And if the living conditions are environmentally friendly, the air quality has been a topic more and more increasing. So these are certainly factors that have to be taken into account.
Mr. Becker, you are currently trying to build a business here, and I think, as much as I understand, you're trying to get all those employees in. You don't have all the employees yet. You don't have all the talent yet in, right?
Yeah, that's right. We just started this year with our hiring campaign, but I cannot say that we don't find the right people. So we find a lot of very engaged people here in Serbia, especially in the area where we are, Stara Pazova, which is very close to Belgrade. So we find a lot of people which want to work in the aviation business. But when you look at the aviation business is very much quality driven. And quality driven means that you need really very well and pretty good educated people working there. And currently we are investing a lot of time and money to train those people we hired. So most of them are going more than 6 months for training to Germany to get more practice. And this is one of the, let's say, in our point of view, one of the major topics we see. There's a pretty good base in Serbia when we are talking about the, let's say, theoretical training.
Oh, yes.
What we see is that there is a lack of practical experience, especially when we look at those at the school system as it is established right now. The theoretical part is very, very good. So compared to some schools in Germany, I would say Serbia is ahead of Germany when we talk about theoretical part, but there's a big lack of practical training.
Yes, I would like to discuss this a little bit more because I think this is essential and worthwhile discussing the difference between Serbia and Germany. And as you said already, the Serbian talents you're talking to are really, really strong when it comes in terms of theoretical knowledge. But as I can hear from your answer, is they lack maybe something in the practical sphere. Can you elaborate this a little bit further? Where does this come from? Why is that so? What is the difference between Germany here and Serbia?
Yeah, when you look at Germany, then starting on the vocational school level, there is a partnership between industry and the schools. So there is always in that vocational training a big part of practical training at the different companies. Yeah, so it's, let's say, very much focused on practical and theoretical background. When we look at Serbia, in Serbia, the dual education system is not up to now. It's not really incorporated. The law is adjusted, but it's not incorporated. So there are not too many companies supporting this process so far. So many of those vocational schools have not really a really good established and equipped workshop area. So they're working there with very old machinery, very old equipment, and many of those colleagues we hiring now, they see the first time a new NC because they never saw it when they got their training.
I understand, Mr. Grujic, from your perspective, because part of your portfolio, the things you're doing as a company is also design, which of course is also very practical as such. That's something you have to do, you can't just learn it theoretically. Do you share the experience of Mr. Becker? Do you have a very similar experience here? And can you explain how you feel about that?
Yes, Tony. So actually, as you already mentioned, in the last 3 years, we built up here, yeah, I would say a big team, and it is also one of the decisions or the facts for decision making to come to Serbia is the fact that we assessed that there is a talent pool which we can use. And what we realized that what Mr. Beck already said, that this practical knowledge was not, let me say, existing. And that's also why we send also our also blue scholars, but also the engineers, the white collars for training to Germany. This is something which was needed, and actually the engineers who started here, as mentioned, the testing and also the design development, they were for 1 year in Germany for training. And this is what we have seen as needed, but also as effective. And now we have people in our organization for whom I can say they are the trainers, and the program train the trainer. Regarding the educational system, yes, this is what actually also Mr. Becker said. There is this vocational education existing. What we realized also in the German-Serbian Chamber of Commerce and in our working groups, that actually this education is not really popular, that we have to put more focus on communicating towards the parents, but also toward the pupils, that this is something we can ensure also their future and also their career development. On the other side, we know that now this year in March, we have the law established also for dual studies. And I know that MTU is also supporting that now. And we are working on the accreditation on one master study program on the faculty. And this is essential and needed. And we see it as something what the industry has to support very strongly. And on the other side, the universities and the ministries in the educational system has to support it, as this is essential for the development of the industry and also all the existing but also upcoming investments.
Did you say, or did I understand you right, sir, that you said that this kind of training is not very popular? Among whom is this not popular, and why?
This is what we now are assessing and looking why actually the students. Okay, if we talk about vocational education, the thing is that they don't really know what to expect. This is what we see. And if we are talking about dual study, as we don't have now the experience actually from because the program itself is not established. But we see that the universities and faculties need to come back on the track, I would say, what was existing some years before, that this cooperation between the universities and industry is essential, because they educate the students for the work at the end, most of them in industry. And this is something which I see, what we see now, that there is more communication needed to that.
Yes, you just said you just said communication is important. People don't know, or pupils don't know, students don't know why this is so essential for them and what it actually brings to the table for them, and how this actually affects their future career and their perspective. And you already opened or you built a golden bridge to Mr. Becker, which his company is already supporting this process very strongly. And I see Mr. Becker just wanted to jump in, and so, sir, please do so. Please help us to paint a clearer picture here.
Yeah, I just want to share some experience I had when I talked with parents of children going to vocational school. Yeah, so when we talked about the dual system, then their response was, not all of them, but some of them, the response was, hey, you are looking for cheap workforce. Yeah, so as that system is not really common, yeah, and we have, well, that's kids at that time, yeah, they 15 years old, 16 years old, And then we tell the parents, well, those kids can come to our facility, and they work together with our colleagues there, get trained. Then their first reaction was, oh, you're looking for cheap workforce. And this is what also Milan said. Yeah, there's much more communication needed to make that more popular. So in Germany, that's very usual that everybody is going when they are in that vocational school, they are going to the different facilities and working there. And for sure, they earn not the money somebody gets when he is perfect trained. But nevertheless, it's a lot of experience there, and it's a huge investment on the industry side needed to train those people and those young kids. So this is something which I can definitely share. There is much more communication needed. When we started here, well, we said we need to invest in that education system, because we want to get those young people in the following years as well into our company. And then if they got more training in vocational school, get more experience with other companies, then this is something which is supporting for us, helping us, but it's also helping let's say our environment, which is, in my point of view, very important.
Yes. So, but what can we do, or what can you do as employers, as companies, also as German companies? What is it what we can do here in Serbia, but not only, but we are taking Serbia as an example here only. What can we actually practically do? Is there something where we are really, really strong, where we can help improve the system, or improve also the mindset and improve communication? Is there something we in particular can do, or is this something that maybe has to be done on a national level, on a political level? What can we do? Is there something we can actually do here?
So, as in my point of view, as a company in Serbia, we can definitely engage ourselves and working together with vocational schools and with the university in order to support this dual system. What we also can do is we need to talk with other Serbian companies in our area and just share our experience we gained in Germany about this dual system. Because up to now, when I'm looking, for example, in Stara Pazova in our area, when we are looking for some partners there, then we found German partners, yeah, which they know the system, they want to participate, but the Serbian companies are, let's say, always a little bit shy to join us, yeah, and they asking us why should I invest here? Yeah, at that time, and we really need to talk with them and convince them. So from company side, I think this is something which we can definitely do, and I'm at least MTU is trying to moderate and to push, and I know that other German companies are doing this in the same way, ZF as well. Yeah. But on the government side, there is also much more information needed, which needs to go to the different companies, also smaller companies.
Allow me to zoom out a little bit more and take the helping hand of Mr. Aletter here. Can you further elaborate on what Mr. Becker just said? You're just zooming out and seeing what has to be done also on a political level, from your experience, having this broader view here. How do you see this? Would you like to add something on this or help us understand better?
Well, I basically agree what is needed when it comes to communication and building trust that this system is actually of benefit. What we observe, and Milan mentioned the working group that we have in the field of talent securing, is that we still think we need to be a bit patient also to see, of course, the results and the impact of the of the introduced vocational training system. I think we are on various levels. The one is that we have currently now 50 vocational training programs, and they have been set up, but the real benefit hasn't been worked out, because again, there is this the young people, start in the school training when they are 14. So they're very young, and to oversee a potential career path is at that time, as we maybe remember from our younger years, a bit difficult to imagine. Then, of course, companies criticize, and that is certainly a critical point, that the practical training, and we have heard it, is too short. And then at the other hand, we have a mix of German companies. Some are already present in Serbia already a bit longer, and have built up their own in-house training, or partnered with schools and something, are a bit reluctant to just shift. That's we also see. And those who are investing, of course, now, or have arrived now, or setting up now, need suddenly a big group of skilled people, and are then also maybe a bit impatient in supporting the system, or have to diversify how they will secure the talents. So that's why we felt it is quite important to develop some communication image campaign, but also not only as a German-Serbian business community, but also together with the Serbian partners, such as the Serbian Chamber of Commerce, but probably also in because lots of development aid has been put in, also with our partners in that regard.
Gentlemen, please help me to pinpoint those partners, the stakeholders in this process we have just discussed here. Who are the stakeholders here, and who has to be on board on this process? Can you help me just pinpoint this for us all to better understand? Who are all of course, the companies. You mentioned politics, but who are the rest of the stakeholders? Who is really important here to be on board? Who do we have to get on board?
It's definitely the Serbian Chamber of Commerce. And then the relevant schools in the professional sectors. What I personally have observed, the government is fully on board and on support. The Premier and also the President are very regular checking how it's going, if it's working, so they are fully behind. And these are from, and of course the relevant ministry are the relevant stakeholders.
Mr. Gruch,
and
Mr.
the parents at the end.
Yeah, I think it's the parents, but it's this is more a question of let's say making and doing some advertising for that system. But what I saw, what my experience when we started there was, when we were at the first vocational schools talking with the directors of the vocational school, then there is a lack of information, for example, about the dual system. So the dual system, I think it has been in a pilot phase now since 5 years, something like that. Now it's officially started last year. Yeah, but the school system itself is not prepared for doing that. So we had a lot of discussion with the teachers. For example, we are currently training 2 teachers of a vocational school of Stara Pazova in Germany. Yeah, so we train the trainer and just showing them how a dual system could look like. And if you talk with the teachers at the vocational schools, then they theoretically know what could that be, but they never have been trained. They don't have too much information, and that's from the teachers up to the directors. So there, in my point of view, there is a lot of information necessary. I know that the Serbian government is 100% supporting, and the Ministry of Education is supporting pretty good. We are in close contact with them, but there's a lot of work to do to get all the others in that team on board.
Thank you so much for helping me understand and giving us a clearer picture. I would like to dive in a little bit more into the individual now. You've already mentioned in the beginning, but we also have heard today at the HR Week very often, repeatedly actually, how important it is for employers, for professionals, talents today to actually work for a company which gives more than a good paycheck. And I think this is also really important in the context of Serbia, because the paycheck maybe here is not as big as, let's say, in Germany, but maybe there's something else we can offer. What are employers today, the ones you're trying to get into your system, into your company, what are they actually looking for? What are the young ones looking for? And is there a difference maybe to the more seasoned workforce you have? Is there a difference? What are people looking for today?
Okay, can I? So
Yes, please, Mr. Guric.
Okay, thank you. So actually, this is really an evergreen topic, if I can say so. In general, when we are looking on the young people, they are looking for a clear career path. They are expecting now, when starting in a company like this, that they from the beginning on know how and when they will develop. They need training, they need support, and they are really looking for improving themselves. And this is something which is very good, and what we realized, and this is also something that we provide from the first day on. Of course, this is also for the senior ones also important, but they are maybe looking for maybe some more free time, or maybe to some more contribution. But in general, for both groups, we cannot generalize. And in fact, the clear and transparent career path is what we see here, something which is very, very important. On the other side, it is also very important for especially for young people, the social life in the surrounding. They also expect to have some additional benefits, except the paycheck. You said something as a fit pass, something something additionally, which is for the younger generation very, very important.
Benefits we have heard this also from Benefits RS here in how they help companies. I just want to because we have to conclude, and I would love to discuss even longer here. But you've mentioned that people are looking for self-development and they're looking for some kind of security. Where does HR come in? I mean, how do we make HR a core business function for you as people on the C-level? Where's the role of HR here? Where can HR really help us to achieve those goals you have described here?
So you address it. So I will then take. So it's. I see personally HR as a backbone of the company. By with also by strategical approach, and also by implementing also the company strategy, by supporting the business. There is, of course, one thing which is very, very important for us, that HR listens to the employees and take care, about their needs, and forward that to the upper management. This is what we see really as essential, as HR is. If we can just compare what was important, in our building up of the operation in these 3 years, it's really tremendous to hire and to train 1,100 people. So the HR performed well. But now it's also on them to listen and to gain the trust of these employees towards the company, and vice versa. So this is what I see.
Thank you so much for your answer. Unfortunately, gentlemen, we are running a little bit out of time here. And I thank you so much for contributing to the HR Week, which is, as I can only repeat here, one of the most amazing digital events I've actually ever seen worldwide, and I congratulate the organizers for putting this in reality. It is great. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of this panel. I want to give over now to Peter. Hello, Peter. Welcome
Hi.
back.
Hi, thank you so much. It's so intriguing listening to this conversation, how it kind of unfolded, certainly in different ways. And actually, right now, I can see a question has come in. I'm going to pose this, open it up for all of you. In fact, so can you compare average Serbian and German workers' mindset and what they can learn from each other? So I essentially imagine that question is all about the two mindsets and what we can learn from each other. Very quickly, what would you say?
Mr. Becker, please. Is there something like a mindset, considering that so many people from Serbia and the region go to Germany and become master employees? Is there actually a difference?
Yes, it is. It is. So at least what we saw the last 1.5 years, when we started with that, setting up our company, there is a huge engagement and energy coming with the Serbian employees, and this is something where you can really see, well, this is something they want to build up the company, but they also want to build up their country. They really focusing on the work. They want to contribute to the success. And this is something where I see a huge energy, and that's different to a country like Germany, where everything is already settled and the industry is working pretty good. In Serbia, it's definitely the case that the people are very engaged, and at least I can say that for all the employees we hired, they are really looking forward for their contribution to the success of the company and to the success of the country.
So Milan and Frank, would you agree with that, with what was said there? Would you agree with that?
Frank, may I? Okay. So actually, yes, I can just confirm that this is really like that. And, from a point of an engineer, to have these opportunities now that we are giving with the companies like MTU, ZF, Bosch, Continental, German ones, and developing here the products, let me say, of the future, is very inspiring the young talents. And we have also experienced the same, and I can also confirm that we, as a feedback from all our customers who came here for certain visits and also assessments, they are really very impressed by the energy they experienced on the shop floor and in the company itself. We have here a team with an average age of 36, so it's a relatively young team. But yes, people are looking for the challenge, looking for the tasks of today, and this is inspiring them.
I'm pretty happy to hear that there's actually a human aspect in here, a human component. I would say heart. That's maybe the H in HR as well. I really love the answer. Thank you so much.
Right. I'm again looking at the time and looking at our questions. No more questions, in fact, but that necessarily doesn't mean that everybody who was listening was engaged. And I'm sure if you're listening, you're curious, you'd like to know more, I'm sure, reaching out to any of our panelists and even Tony as well. You can collaborate and see maybe where the conversation moves forward. But for the time being, gentlemen, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your insights. But probably number one, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Milan, that's right. We're done. That's fantastic. Right. We are moving swiftly on to our next session. And this, we jump in very shortly to how HR systems drive business performance. We're going to hear all about that in our next session very shortly, in a couple of minutes' time.